right now. And hello and welcome to the another podcast episode of Innovators Baat. And I'm your host Rishabh. And today I bring to you another successful story. I would say I have Professor Abhishek Verma with me, who is also my senior from Department of Design, IIT Kanpur. Later, while being a PhD student, he opened his own venture, which is called Indespace, if I'm not wrong, private limited company.
Yes.
And the story is very interesting. We will learn in this story that how product designers or designers per se can be successful entrepreneurs and can produce a product which is both relevant to the society and creates impact, and how an entire ecosystem is developed around where Abhishek was working, and how he had started a new series of things which we were having a word few minutes back. So welcome to the Innovators Sabat, Professor Abhishek, and I'll start with my first question that how did this idea conceive? When did you come to the campus, and what were your initial thought processes when you were thinking of this startup? Uh, Over to you.
Okay. First of all, thanks, Rishabh, for having me. So I joined IIT Kanpur in 2017. Back then, I just wanted to be a product designer who can learn something about how to develop a product. So the first definition, which was very important for me, is since I have came from an engineering background, is that how a product is different from technology. So a technology is something which means that we figure out some engineering principles to derive some kind of functionality. But the product is some kind of application that we can derive from that technology.
Mhm.
Application specifically for human beings, because eventually a product is being used for humans. So that was the initial thought for me when I joined Department of Design IIT Kanpur. So I chose Professor Ramkumar as my thesis supervisor, and he made me exposed to all these problem statements that led to my current startup, which is called as Indespace Robotics. So my journey has started from when I have been exposed to this medical device ecosystem of IIT Kanpur and KGMU collaboration through a bioimmersion program, where we have been exposed to some problem statements, and we have been asked to develop or create some kind of solutions, or at least prototype of some solutions, so that we get exposed to this specific part, that whether our engineering and design knowledge can be implemented for development of some products, specifically medical devices. Because right now, because if you are talking about products for medical field, they will be medical devices eventually. So I was part of a team which has developed a D scope, which is a gynecological endoscope. We received our first BIG grant in 2018. We consumed that grant for development of this specific medical device, and we reached up to a stage where we have figured out the functionality, human aspect, and a lot of things before moving into clinical trials.
Mhm.
Later on, I chose a specific topic of assistive technology for my PhD.
Mhm.
But along with that, since I have been part of this ecosystem, I have realized that a lot of problem statements are being bombarded at us, and it was our duty to at least take one or two more problems. So I have took this specific problem from Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Bareilly. So one of their scientists, Professor Dr. Brijesh Yadav, was visiting our campus, and he has given this problem that our cattle suffer a very serious issue when they go into labor.
Mhm.
So what he told us was that when a cattle, usually a buffalo or a cow, reaches their hospital for labor, they are usually
Mhm.
suffering from a problem which is called as dystocia or incomplete cervical dilation, where cattle is not able to go into labor or dilate its cervix muscles. So which means the delivery is relatively difficult, and it
Mhm.
becomes a serious issue when time passes on, which means there is the sac has been broken, but the calf or the dam, the child, is suffering inside. So
Oh.
the so it is kind of an emergency situation where they have to find a solution. So the current
Mhm.
state of the art or the current solution that they were providing was a set of medicines, but it
Mhm.
was not sufficient. Even if there is a case of severe dystocia, which often happens, it might happen that it take more than 24 hours and even 36 hours to dilate. And in
Mhm.
that time, there might be a chance that Carl might be dead. Or
Mhm.
even after that, if we don't have this dilation of muscle, we have to go for an operation. And
Mhm.
operation often leads to some kind of fertility issue for the next conceiving. So this is a very big problem. And most
Mhm.
of the cattle that are coming to IVRI hospital in Bareilly are
Mhm.
belong to families of marginal farmers. Marginal means almost they're poor. So the definition of being so their definition of being marginal to poor is just that income resource which is their cattle.
Oh.
So that much criticality we are talking.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
he asked about for us to develop some kind of solution. So he has some technology already for with him, which we
Mhm.
try to justify that whether this technology is suitable or not. And we have found out that if we apply through a outside probe some
Mhm.
kind of heating therapy as well as mechanical stimulation, so the chances of dilation becomes relatively higher. So it acts as a kind of an enabler. So we have provided the medical solution, some kind of medicine as well as this kind of enabler, and a
Mhm.
veterinary medical device that can help you get a dilation much earlier than our
Okay.
if it is suffering from dystocia. So that was the solution that we have offered,
Mhm.
and we have seen some positive results. And
Mhm.
we presented those solutions to SIIC, IIT Kanpur,
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
have got a patent through their help
Mhm.
also.
Mhm. Mhm.
So after the patent, we have SIIC told us to apply for a BIG grant to write a BIG grant, and we have written that grant, and we received a grant in 2023. So after
Okay.
that, we are working to refine our technology because it is very important part that most of
Mhm.
the grants available at SIIC can help you convert your technology into a product, which is very
Mhm.
important. Even
Mhm.
you are in medical device field or not, it is very
Mhm.
important to figure out that how my technology can be called as a product. Product means
Mhm.
it should be usable by users as well as
Mhm.
it can be replicable, which means we can produce it in very mass
Scale it up.
scale, mass level. So
Mhm.
we have to figure out all the engineering specification, design
Mhm.
specification, material, from where we have to figure out supply chains, where we have to
Mhm.
take products. Suppose if there are some kind of electronics parts, we have to figure
Mhm.
out how we have to identify those manufacturers or some kind of suppliers of those parts. And those parts should also have some kind of regulatory framework within them. Because eventually, when we combine all these parts, assemble all these things, when we have our medical device, we have to get it through this regulatory body, which is called as CDSCO. So the
CDS.
next part will be when you figure out all the things within your product, we have to go for regulatory compliances. So we have to figure out the regulatory framework because right now we don't have a regulatory framework for approval of medical devices in veterinary. So
Veterinary.
it is a very big challenge for us. So
Mhm.
we are trying to write some regulatory frameworks that can get us some kind of regulatory approvals within CDSCO because right now it is very difficult.
Mhm.
Some kind of draft rules have been drafted by CDSCO for some other medical veterinary devices, but those are in vitro diagnostic devices. So there is
Mhm.
no predicate for our technology or product that we are working on.
Mhm.
So that
So
is
you are the
kind of a
actually
brief.
first people which we were discussing it previously. You guys are pioneers in this field, and you are
Yes.
also helping the government in the way to draft the rule book so that whoever next will come will be. I will not face the same challenges you guys are facing. What I
Yes,
understood
yes.
from your story is that journey of a startup, especially product-based startup, not a SaaS-based startup, is quite lengthier. It will require a lot of perseverance inside you, patience inside you, because it takes time. You have to get validated validations from your users first, and then you have to go to the government where you are only supposed to draft all those compliances and then get it approved. So how has been the entire time? I mean, how are you managing your PhD with this product running in parallel? And how was your bread and butter running? Because it might have taken a lot of investments into it.
Okay, so first of all, from that perspective, I really want to thank my thesis supervisor, Professor Ramkumar. So he really supported me regarding this. So what we are doing at when being part of his research group, so we have a certain philosophy that if you are working on a medical device, please try to make it as your PhD thesis. So in that case, what you are doing is you are working on your thesis, you are developing the nuances of your product, as well as you are figuring out that if this technology gets justified in terms of functionality and product market fit, how I'm going to scale it up. So in there, so we have a complete ecosystem. So
Ecosystem.
he was the founder of this medtech facility at IIT Kanpur. So
Okay.
he has provided us a lot of opportunity, exposure towards all the regulatory compliances that we have. So we have a different set of meetings with all the regulatory approvals that we require. So the facility that he has developed was ISO 13485 facility, which is necessary for prototype development of a medical device. So if you are going for some kind of regulatory approval, initially you have to show that where you have developed your prototype. So for your prototype also, it should comply some guidelines for ISO.
Guideline.
So so there is a certain ISO guidelines which is called as ISO 13485 that if you have developed some technology, it should comply ISO 13485 regarding the initial testing also, right? We are not talking about final clinical trials. Initial just testing the idea, you need some kind of certain compliances. So that he provides us. Along with that, monetary services means he has provided all types of resources that are needed, and he has really helped us in building all these devices and eventually having giving us enough confidence to start our own companies also.
So having a
And
good guide is really
yeah, it
important
is very
for
important.
you.
It is very important. Otherwise, you will not be able to escape your lab and just functionality of your product.
Mhm. And I really like about Professor Ramkumar when you were speaking. I mean, when when we discuss any ideas with him, we always think from a business perspective, enterprise perspective, that how it shouldn't be just an idea which you have
Yeah,
done
yeah,
for
yeah.
your portfolio or
First of
some
all, you have
research
to
paper.
convert it into a product. Then first,
Hmm.
you have to figure out how you're going to scale this up. Hmm.
So he always thinks in that manner. So what was your family's reaction when you disclose this thing, or are there any uh, uh, option in future that you think that कि भाई ये job जो है हालांकि you are at a very good job right now, but pursuing it full time rather than going ऐसे.
So I am really thankful to this Shark Tank and all the activities that are going on TV scenario. So what
Okay.
has happened is earlier startups and starting a company was
Hmm.
stigmatized by our Indian middle class, and that was
Hmm.
okay because we
Hmm.
need
Hmm.
some kind of
Hmm.
cushion because
Backup.
there
Yeah.
are some risks associated with starting a company and putting
Mhm,
your own capital or
mhm,
getting into it without having a proper regular job. But what
mhm,
happened was in last 4 or 5 years, I
mhm,
realized that this word startup and being a co-founder or a founder has
mhm,
been not that much stigmatized and not being associated
mhm,
with unemployment. So right now
mhm,
they understand this idea that
mhm,
if I am at a right place, which was IIT Kanpur, if I am
mhm,
working on a right technology, which was medical devices, and
mhm,
if I have a right intent, which means they understand my intent that I want to help others, I want to serve this society, I want to
mhm,
scale these solutions to a bigger level. With the
mhm,
collaboration was obviously with collaboration of government, obviously,
mhm,
then they are acceptable to it. So it is very important that your intent should be clear, your
mhm,
technological goal or your product goal should be clear, and
mhm,
you should have figured out how you are going to scale this up.
mhm,
If you have figured out these things, you will be able to justify your family also. I believe that. And
mhm,
since the ecosystem has changed drastically in last 4 or 5 years, so there is
mhm.
more acceptability of entrepreneurs in the society.
Yeah, and somewhere Make in India boom is playing a lot of role. Hence,
Yeah,
we
that is
see
true.
Shark Tank and other the
Yeah, yeah.
BIG grant you mentioned, where entrepreneurs can get up to 50 lakhs of grants.
Yes,
And
yes,
I
yes.
think it's no liability grant. You don't have to, give any mortgage or anything instead of that. You should
Yeah,
have
it
a
really
great
helps.
idea. Yeah, you should have a great idea, as you said, and a right intent, and you'll get into those grants, and you can develop a product. Talking about indie space robotics, what are your next steps? I mean, we got a clear idea that right now we are at a certification stage where we are getting our product certified by the CDSO. How do you see this goal of the entire startup? What are your goals for next 5 years, or like aim? What do you want to do in this startup?
Okay, so here I want to disclose something. So I have got this BIG grant about this medical devices 2023, but I
Hmm,
started this company in 2022.
hmm, hmm,
So this difference was something like that I have, since I have been part of all the medical devices. So I
hmm,
have realized a very big market gap within our startup ecosystem at SIIC and also in North Indian belt. And it also, I think, is true for whole India, which
hmm,
is that our innovators have idea, they have
hmm,
funding,
hmm,
they have all the ecosystem where all the stakeholders are there, which means clinicians are there, trial managers are there, everybody is there.
hmm.
Only
Yes.
one thing is missing. They don't have a proper design studio to develop all these products.
Okay.
So I found out this gap that I have envisioned my startup as an enabler of a company, enabler of other companies or startups, that I will provide you a platform that you come up
Hmm,
with idea. We have
hmm,
all the resources in terms of designing some kind of product research,
hmm.
3D prototyping. We have all the services. You just come up your idea and we can deliver it kind of a product.
Okay. So
So
you will enable that transition of TRL 6 or 4 to
yeah, no,
7
you
and
just come up with you
uh,
as a startup, just come up with a TRL 1 or TRL 2. We will
okay.
try to stretch it up to TRL 5 or 6.
Oh, alpha
Then
beta
will we
prototype tag.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Then we will
Hmm,
also help you figure out that
hmm,
what are the compliance gaps, which
hmm.
means that okay, you have
Right.
figured out technology, you have a product. What
Hmm,
would be the compliance questions will be asked to you when you
hmm,
present this device to any kind of
hmm,
regulatory body?
hmm, hmm,
So in that sense, I have envisioned my startup. But after that, this grant came up, and I have got this
hmm,
opportunity to work on my own product. And also, it
hmm,
is helping in me in a sense that it
hmm,
is helping me in creating a framework for a product. So if
okay.
I just can justify other startups that
Hmm,
see this was initial idea, I have developed it into a product, and right now I'm trying to launch or I am trying to get it through regulatory clearances. So which means I have figured out a kind of a journey. So I,
hmm,
as a person, can help
hmm,
other startups to figure out this
hmm.
journey.
So you're going to
So
provide a complete handholding to a person who has idea. I mean, you're going to run a parallel incubator, if I can
no, no, no,
imagine.
no, not a parallel incubator, just the design, modeling,
Product.
prototyping services. So it is
Okay.
kind. So this idea of design studio occurs in Western countries.
Hmm,
In US, if you visit US or European countries, you will see
hmm,
there are design studios here and there that helps in trying to
hmm.
envision your idea into a
I know.
proper product. So
Okay.
if I have some kind of idea, so I have to figure out the electronics part, I have to figure out the
Hmm,
PCB, I have to figure out the
hmm,
materials and all, and I have to figure
hmm,
out the body, and I have to figure out
hmm,
the human aspect. So there
hmm,
are certain design studios in countries where product development has been a part of their journey or their economy for last 40, 50 years. Like one
hmm.
company's IDEO, you might have heard of. IDEO
IDEO.
is a very big company. Yeah. And some design studios that help other companies like HP, Apple, Samsung. So all these companies, they have their own design studios or design R&D teams, but also they also take sublet services from other companies or other services that do product research for them, that do human centered design for them, that do co-design and participatory design for them. So design in itself is a very huge, can in itself become a very huge bread and butter if you, even if you skip the other parts of design like UI UX. If you skip those and you just focus on product design, there is a huge market within India. Since all the startups are booming up, everybody has an idea, everybody has a funding, but they are missing one part, which is where I can get from start to final some kind of minimum viable product. I'm not even expecting TRL 6. I'm giving them an MVP level product that you can directly go for some kind of approval for regulatory.
And also
So
the
first of
most
all, we are trying to
important,
do that.
yeah,
Yes.
Also, the most important and most difficult thing you are helping in is getting the compliance done at the very basic while they are developing their MVP. So when
So that is
those
so
things are
that's
placed.
what we have learned while
Uh,
development of other products, that this
mhm,
should be our focus from first day one.
mhm,
Even if you are not a medical device, even if you are just a consumer brand, so there are
mhm,
some specific regulatory guidelines for them also. Some IEC
mhm,
standards are there. If you have some
uh,
electronics, so there are some standards like related to radiation shielding and all those things.
mhm,
There are
mhm,
also some kind of regulatory guidelines. It is just that
mhm,
we initially we don't mind all these things because we are
mhm,
just focusing towards functionality of our product. So
mhm,
within that product market fit, we have also figured out the regulatory part. Even you are a medical device or you are a consumer product.
mhm. So we are going to see Indespace Design Labs in India. And
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
the
So we are
location
trying.
if you want to disclose?
So
Is it going to be IIT Kanpur or?
yeah, yeah. Because I belong to just there is a district called Barabanki near Lucknow.
Mhm,
So I
mhm,
belong to from that place. So
mhm,
and also I have built some human resource at IIT Kanpur while being incubated there. So I
uh-huh,
really rely on that human resource. So if
mhm,
someday I have to scale up, so I will try to figure out some land just
mhm.
behind campus or somewhere.
It would be really nice, sir. I mean, thinking of our students at Department of Design, who are very uh, skeptical, I will say, towards entrepreneurship. Though I try to tell it to them, ki, you are a user, a researcher, and I believe personally that designers can be the best entrepreneurs because we
Yeah.
work a lot on product user acceptance. Just not, we don't know those business and other
Actually,
stuff.
to correct you, we are the only people who work on product. Other streams work on technology.
Technology, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so that's why I've
that
given the definition of difference between technology and product.
and product. Yes. So in the similar lines, I wanted your views that the people who are watching from Department of Design or any other PhD student who is watching this video, for them, what should be the intent if they want they have startup, or what are the resources which you had explored in your journey at IT Kanpur, how they can move forward with their idea, and how to manage the time and everything.
Okay, so the first of all, it is very important to figure out that what is your end goal. Means whether you want to work in academia or you want to start an entrepreneurship or you want to some kind of a middle ground. So middle ground is also possible, but for that middle ground, you have to figure out that whether you are able to provide time to your startup as well as your academia or not. If the problem statement is common, which means whatever startup you are working on is also your PhD problem or your MTech or BTech problem, then it is fine because eventually it will be converted into a thesis and you will get a product. Okay. But if they are different, you have to figure out the time. And the most important part is before starting all these things, you have to figure out your intellectual property. So with the help of SIIC, I have got 4 patents on 4 different medical devices. So that is the first part. So you have to contact if you have some idea and you think that it can be converted into an intellectual property, contact with the professor. So because the rule at IIT Kanpur is that if you want to file a patent through SISC or at IIT Kanpur, some professor should be included. So you have to include a professor and you have to justify that my idea will work or at least it is patentable. Means it has some kind of novelty. So obviously for a patent, they look for a novelty factor.
No.
So when you figure out that part, you just get it patented because patent adds a lot of kind of justification to what you are doing, and it
Mhm,
also give you a lot of credibility while you are applying for grants. Small
mhm,
grants, big grants, all grants look for some kind of credibility in terms of IP. So that
mhm,
is very important. So the next part will be that you first finish your part, then you try to look your technology or research or lab work, that how it can serve people, which means how this technology can be converted into a product. A
product.
product
Yeah.
is which can serve people, which can
Mhm,
provide some kind of service to people. So
mhm.
if you figure out that part, then the rest of journey will be guided
Easy.
through SIAC.
Mm. I see. Yes. So just to add on to that, we have a lot of different teams distributed who help startups or entrepreneurs or innovators. starting from the portfolio management. You will get dedicated portfolio managers for your team. Then compliance, as Sir spoke about, legal and regulatory compliance team is there, who is always open and to talk to the entrepreneurs and help them in their journey. And also me, who work in the media and communications team. If you want anything related to branding, or like to set
Yes.
up a good social media campaign, you can come up to me. So it was a very insightful session with you, sir, Abhishek sir, and I believe the people who had watched the entire session will be benefited with it. If you are thinking of starting your startup, guys, it's never too late. You can always go to our website www.sicincubator.com and explore our startups. You can explore the programs we have. And it was a delight to have you, Abhishek sir, on board. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Same pleasure here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, guys. Thank you. Bye bye, sir.